Happy Monday, everybody. Yes, there is such a thing as a happy Monday. We're proof of that. Wake up, Wenatchee Valley, back for another exciting week of television information, television entertainment, and television fun. Not necessarily in that order. It is the 25th day of June, 2018. It is a Monday. Dan Koontz, your host. You notice to my immediate left is Steve is not here. Steve's taking today off. Nice little three-day weekend for my good friend Steve Hare, our beloved news director. He'll be back tomorrow, but the news continues. I'll be handling those duties, let you know what happened over the weekend. I hope you had a good weekend. Crazy night last night, wasn't it? From about 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we had a pretty good thunderstorm come rolling through. Lots of lightning, some pretty heavy rain, some strong winds. It was not in the forecast. It kind of came out of nowhere. We dropped 10 degrees from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It was very active. It came, it slid through, brought us lightning, brought us wind, brought us rain, slid out the other direction. But now we're dealing with a red flag warning. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning for this area. Noon today till 8 o'clock tonight, that 8-hour period, we're in a red flag warning. What does that mean? It's the combination of strong winds, warm temperatures, and very low relative humidity, which means if fires get going, or if there are fires out there, they could really take off this afternoon. Again, a red flag warning is in effect, or will be in effect, from noon today till 8 o'clock this afternoon. 8 o'clock tonight. I'll be doing your weather forecast here in just a little bit, and that is going to be the story. Also going to be cooler than normal than it was last week. So weather forecast is coming up. Also sports. Pretty long road trip so far for the Seattle Mariners. They're going to see if they can right the ship beginning today in Baltimore. The Apple Sox, not a bad weekend. We'll talk about that. Also some soccer all-state teams were named over the weekend, and we got some locals who made first and second team. We'll talk about that when we get to sports. As far as the obscure holiday of the day today, I didn't have one. I looked and I did my calendar, my internet research, and all the sites I normally go to, and there was just one, and it didn't really inspire me, so we're just going to dispatch with the obscure holiday of the day today. Make up your own. There you go. How's that sound? Then we have today in history. We got birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike Mignotti's opinion. And in the interview segment of this program, in the second half of the show, it is Steve Hare's conversation with Mick Lamar. Mick is the fire and rescue chief for the Lake Wenatchee area, the Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue. He is the chief, Mick is, and he's going to have a fascinating conversation with Steve Hare. We taped it late last week. You don't want to miss that. So let's do what we always do when we begin our show and begin our work week. Let's take you around North Central Washington with our Valley View cameras. And wouldn't you know it, Kat is back in control. She's back from vacation. Thank you very much, Uriah. Uriah of Tunk Mountain filled in last week, but now Uriah gets to sleep in and Kat has to go back to work. That, of course, is the Wenatchee Valley from the cross camera, the very tip of Wenatchee Heights as we look over the Wenatchee Valley. By the way, last week, I had a nice conversation with Kelly Kennedy and Shiloh Shower, the Let's Have a Blast committee, and the spit will be ready. The spit, of course, is where they shoot off the fireworks for the big Independence Day celebration on Wednesday, July 4th. That is where the fireworks are set up. The spit all but washed away during the May floods, but the Chelan County PUD is rebuilding the spit, that little area that sticks out over the lagoon at Walla Walla Point Park, and so they will be able to use the spit to launch the fireworks this year. Again, that's good news. You can see the high clouds. Again, red flag warning. We'll talk about that when we get to the forecast. Camera number 2, Kat says, let's take a look-see at the Apple Annie's camera in Kashmir. Speaking of Kashmir, they had a climbing fatality yesterday on Mount Stewart. We'll talk about that when we get to the news. Kashmir looking fine indeed. Of course, they had Founders Days over the weekend, most of the events taking place on Saturday with the ping pong ball drop and everything else, and it was a good weather day in beautiful Kashmir. Thanks for starting your day with us. Kashmir, camera 3. Let's say good morning and hello to, I want to say that's Bear Mountain pointed up the lake. That's Upper Butte pointed up the lake. Well, they're pretty close to each other. I mean, that's not bad. So we take a look at the beautiful Lake Chelan area on this Monday morning. Lake Chelan hopping as usual. Over the weekend, they had the Saul Gallegos Memorial Run in the Chelan-Manson area, paying tribute to the Chelan County Sheriff's deputy who lost his life 15 years ago in the line of duty. I hope that went well. I'm assuming it did. It always does. Camera 4, we say good morning to Lake Wenatchee. Haven't used that one in quite some time. We call that the Two Rivers camera. That is way up there in elevations. It's that tower itself is about 300 feet in the air. I've actually visited that tower site, so that's the very top of Lake Wenatchee, looking all the way down to the state park. So by the way the crow flies, Camp Zanikalachi would be on your right, although it's tucked behind, you can't see it. And the YMC camp would be on your left. And it looks like there's a few high clouds up in the greater Lake Wenatchee area. I wonder if they're done with the skeeters this time of the year. Lake Wenatchee, especially Fish Lake, can be notorious for heavy mosquito bites if you're into that. So good morning to our friends in Lake Wenatchee. And thanks for starting your day with us here on the NCW Live channel. From the National Weather Service, here's your weather forecast. Again, red flag warning kicks in at noon today, goes until 8 o'clock tonight. It's the combination of strong winds, low relative humidity, and warm temperatures. So we're looking at winds west 15 to 25 miles an hour, gusts near 40, and relative humidities, we'll be lucky if we get to 20%. So if there are any fires out there, and there could be some sleeper fires. Remember, we had those lightning strikes quite a bit between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the overnight hours tonight. That means there could be some sleeper fires, and with the strong winds and the warm temperatures, it can get dicey, so a red flag warning is in effect. High today of 79. Again, the big story is going to be the wind, northwest wind, pretty strong all day today, especially this afternoon. And normally the winds die down in the evening hours. They will, but it's going to take a while. Clear tonight, 53 for the overnight low. That's chilly. That's cold for this time of year. Northwest wind tonight 17 to 22 miles an hour. It'll eventually decrease to 10 to 15 miles an hour. Then we dispatch with the wind, and we have a fairly calm, very benign week in store for us. Sunshine Tuesday, high of 77, which is a little bit below normal. 80 on Wednesday. Sunshine and 78 on Thursday. Thursday night, little wind, partly cloudy, 57 for the overnight lows. Jump ahead to the weekend, the last weekend in June. Lots of sunshine and a high near 80 on Friday. Saturday, 80. Sunday, 82. Quite a bit of sunshine. So we just have to get past today. And once again, can't reiterate this enough, we have a red flag warning issued by the National Weather Service that goes from noon today till 8 o'clock this evening. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully there are no sleeper fires out there that may have gotten started with last night's lightning strikes, because if there is, they can take off in a big way. So our local fire departments are keeping their fingers crossed we get through this period okay. It is 7 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break. When we come back, the news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 7 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
RLS Productions presents Concerts in the Gardens held at Omi Gardens this coming summer, featuring the Infinity Project, a Journey tribute band, Too Slim and the Tail Draggers, the Wenatchee Swingin' Big Band, the Peter Rivera Band, and Invisible Touch, a Phil Collins tribute band. The objectives of the series are to increase midweek tourism to the Wenatchee Valley, the development of a world-class series overlooking the Wenatchee Valley, along with awarding annual scholarships to Wenatchee Valley College students. RLS Productions would like to thank their supporters and volunteers for helping make this all possible.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate for pita.
Definitely the espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha for pitas.
A peach Red Bull.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
And welcome back. I am Dan Coons filling in for News Director Steve Hare. He'll be back tomorrow. It's 9 minutes after the hour on this Monday, and here is what's making headlines. It's been 3 years since the Sleepy Hollow fire ripped a devastating path through the northwest Wenatchee area, destroying 30 homes and several warehouse buildings, but the man who stands accused of setting that fire is still awaiting trial. 39-year-old Jeremy J. Kendall scheduled to be arraigned in Chelan County Superior Court today after Judge Robert McSeveny ruled that the defendant is mentally competent to stand trial. Kendall has been undergoing treatment at Eastern State Hospital over the last couple of years after he confessed to Chelan County Sheriff's deputies that he started the fire. At that time, he said the Department of Health was transmitting voices into his head and controlling his body. He is currently being held in custody at the Chelan County Regional Jail. Well, a high-speed pursuit ended with an arrest on Thursday night in the Rock Island area. Douglas County Sheriff Harvey Jesdahl reports a deputy was on routine patrol when he spotted an approaching vehicle on Highway 28 that failed to dim his headlights. The deputy turned around to stop the vehicle, but another westbound vehicle got between the deputy and the suspect vehicle. At this point, the deputy had activated his lights and sirens, but rather than pull over, the second vehicle sped up. The deputy decided to pursue the second vehicle for failing to yield to an emergency vehicle, and the chase was on. The Pathfinder continued to accelerate, running through stop signs and reaching speeds up to 80 miles an hour. The driver finally pulled over on Parkway Drive in Rock Island. He shut off the car, placed his hands out the window. He was identified as 33-year-old Joshua J. Clark of Kashmir. He was found to have a Department of Corrections warrant for escape from community custody and felony warrants out of Chelan County for possessing methamphetamine and heroin with intent to deliver and first-degree escape. He was arrested and booked at the Chelan County Jail without further incident. He was also booked for the additional Douglas County charges of felony eluding and driving with a suspended license. Traffic came to a halt Friday afternoon on U.S. Highway 2 in the Monitor area following a two-vehicle crash that resulted in injuries to both drivers. It happened in the 2 o'clock hour when a motorcycle driven by 63-year-old Richard Goodfellow of Manson rear-ended a pickup truck as the two vehicles were yielding the right-of-way to an emergency vehicle that was approaching from behind. Both Goodfellow and the driver of the pickup, identified as 66-year-old Karen Jackson of Yakima, transferred to Confluence Health for treatment. The roadway was closed for about an hour. Well, Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett reports that a climber fell several hundred feet while descending Mount Stewart just before noon on Sunday. The 32-year-old male Seattle resident eventually pronounced dead at the scene. A 911 cellular call to the KitCom Dispatch Center was received from the subject's climbing partner at 11:47 a.m. reporting the fall. That call was relayed to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office. The incident location was determined to be on the southeast aspect of Mount Stewart, just below the false summit. That's just east of the true summit. Due to the high elevation, 8,900 feet, search and rescue coordinators requested a hoist-capable helicopter via State Emergency Management. Naval Air Base Whidbey Island accepted the mission, and a Navy Black Hawk helicopter crew responded. The aircraft was over the scene by 2:40 p.m., and it was confirmed that the climber was deceased. The body was hoisted from the scene and transported to SAR staging that was at the fish hatchery in Leavenworth. The Navy crew returned to the mountain to hoist out the climbing partner of the victim, who stated he was not comfortable descending the mountain after witnessing the accident. The climbing partner informed SAR coordinators that his friend had successfully summited Mount Stewart earlier in the morning and descended to the false summit before noon. Just as they began their descent, the victim lost his footing, slid several hundred feet down a steep slope, landing in rocks. Other climbers in the area eventually scrambled down to the area of the fallen climber, advising he was unresponsive. And Dr. Chio Flores, who is Vice President of Student Services and Enrollment Management and the Enrollment Manager at Wenatchee Valley College, has been accepted into Harvard University's Institute for Educational Management, IEM. IEM is an immersive 2-week program that helps higher education leaders learn how to lead change, articulate vision, and foster and support organizational change. Flores says she is looking forward to adding to her professional toolkit, exploring ways to better lead and champion change, and offering her perspective to the IEM 2018 cohort. And that is news. At 13 minutes after the hour, high clouds and 57 degrees. Again, sunny, breezy, low humidity means a red flag warning will begin at 12 noon today and is due to expire at 8 o'clock this evening. So fire conditions are ripe for any kind of fires that may happen out there. I'll do the weather forecast one more time before we get to 8 o'clock. Don't forget, if you want to help us out, if there's something out there you think is newsworthy, don't hesitate. Give us a call, drop us a line, send us an email, whatever the case may be. Any number of ways for you to get a hold of us. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com. You can go to our Facebook page and send us a message if you so desire. If you just want to give us a call, pick up the telephone and call the number right there, 888-6295, 888-NCWL. And if you go to our website, ncwlife.com, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner of the toolbar, you'll see the Contact Us icon. Click on that and you can just send us a note via the Contact Us, or you can submit a news tip if you so desire, ncwlife.com. All right, 14 minutes after the hour, don't forget the news with Grant Olson, the birthday boy. The news with Grant Olson will come your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock tonight. Also available on demand on our website late in the afternoon, early in the evening, and also on our Facebook page. So find out what happened on this Monday in one nice little half-hour package with Grant Olson, Eric Granstrom, and the news team. All right, let's take a quick little break. When we come back, sports Today in history, birthdays, everyone is entitled to Mike McKnighty's opinion, and Steve Hare's conversation with Mick Lamar still to come between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, Monday edition on the NCW Life channel.
It's a free walk-in job search assistance center. It is designed to help job seekers with the tools that they need to find a job. We have partnered with libraries in 5 other cities, providing the same types of services that we offer here, just there.
Just walk in, we have laptops, and we can help you with resume, cover letter.
All of our services are paid for by the revenues earned in our store. Goodwill is just a tool that the community is using to help their neighbors find a job. Goodwill, there's more behind the store.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on LocalTel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 56 degrees, high clouds, sunny, windy, and a high today. What is the high today? Let me look at the forecast. Don't go anywhere. 79. Thank you, Kat. It's good to have Kat back from vacation. Let's do sports. Mason Marenko's 2-run home run at the top of the 8th inning completed a nice little comeback for the Wenatchee Apple Sox. They were 5 runs down at one point, but that's why they play 9 innings. The Apple Sox defeat the Port Angeles Lefties. The final was 8-7. Wenatchee found itself down 5 runs after 5 innings, but they started the comeback in the 6th. They scored 4 to trail by 1. Then Marenko stepped up in the 8th inning. Joey Magro was aboard, and he launched his 2nd homer of the season over the left field wall. On the mound, Curtis Baffis pitched very well indeed. 6 relief innings to earn his 2nd victory of the season. So they took 2 of 3 from the lefties over the weekend. They won Friday and they lost Saturday. The Apple Sox have the day off today. Well deserved, I might add. And then they host the Bend Elks in the first of 3 games tomorrow night, Paul Thomas Senior Field. First pitch, 7:05. Also in the West Coast League on Sunday, the Les Schwab scoreboard is where we go. Matt James hit a solo home run at the top of the 8th, and that broke a 3-3 tie. Gave Bellingham the victory over Victoria. The final there was 4-3. Walla Walla brought 9 men to the plate in the 4-run 5th inning, and that's how they scored. Just those, but that was enough. They held up, and they defeated the Portland Pickles on Sunday, 5-3. Bend scored 12 runs on 18 hits. And the Elks won. They beat Corvallis 12-5. So Bend broke out the bats, and they'll be at Paul Thomas Senior Field, of course, beginning tomorrow. Ryan Fish's RBI base hit in the bottom of the 9th scored Taylor Wright, and the Kelowna Falcons came back, beat Yakima Valley 8-7 on Sunday. The only game on tap today in the West Coast League is Victoria at Walla Walla. 6:35. 4 local high school soccer players selected by the Washington State Coaches Association to the All-State 4A team. Eastmont's Johan Espinosa, first team selection. Wenatchee's Luis Navarrete, second team selection. Eastmont's Flavio Espinosa, a second team selection. And Eastmont's Manny Lopez. An honorable mention, of course, Eastmont Wildcats had a great year, finishing 4th in state this year. Wenatchee Valley Rams, they are a machine. They improved to 6-0 over the weekend in Western Washington Football Alliance play. They traveled to Spokane, and they knocked off the Wolfpack. The final 41-6. The Rams will host the South Sound Nighthawks Saturday evening. Leib-off to field at the Apple Bowl. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock. Mariners' rough road trip continued on Sunday. Their 5th loss in 6 games. Boston shut out Seattle 5-0. Chris Sale improves to 7-4 on the year. He went 7 innings. He didn't allow any runs, as you might imagine. 4 hits, struck out 13. Marco Gonzalez takes the loss for the Mariners. He allowed 5 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings. Manager Scott Service said he had a feeling early on that this was going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, Chris Sale was on top of his game, no doubt. He had really good stuff today, and everybody knows he's a really good competitor. When he's getting the off-speed pitches and the slider was really a dominant pitch for him today, like it often is. But tight ball game. Marco was throwing the ball great through 4 innings. Just got away from him a little bit. They put some good at bats in him against him in the 5th, and they put some runs together. But it's one of those games you're thinking, first team scores. Things will probably, the momentum will go a certain way there, and it certainly went their way there in the 5th inning.
Sunday's loss put Seattle's record on this 10-game road trip at 1-5. They are off to Baltimore today. Service says he still believes his club is right there and has a chance against the Orioles.
You know, we didn't have a great week. I look at what's happened the last week. We turned the page. We go over to Baltimore and hopefully get it going again. And everybody could, you know, chipping in. You know, the offense, the bullpen, the starting pitching, everybody doing their job, and you know, we'll be fine. We've got a good club. We knew this was going to be a tough stretch. We've been very competitive in most of the games. Been right there. You know, we would have liked to have won a few more. Didn't happen, but you keep moving forward.
Baltimore has the second to worst record in the majors. Only Kansas City has been playing worse lately. Felix Hernandez will be on the mound today. The O's will go with Andrew Kashner. First pitch, 4:05. But the Mariners lost on Sunday. Seattle now trails Houston by 4.5 games. The American League West, again, back to the Les Schwab scoreboard. Yuri Gurriel's grand slam home run highlighted an 8-run second inning. Houston knocked off Kansas City 11-3. Chicago scored 5 in the 5th and 5 in the 6th on 3 home runs. White Sox taking out Oakland. The final was 10-3. Jose Barrios struck out 12 over 7 innings of shutout ball. Minnesota blanked Texas 2-0. And Kendry Morales hit a home run at the top of the 10th. Toronto edging the Angels in Anaheim. The final was 7-6. And that is sports. At 21 minutes after the hour, normally we do the obscure holiday of the day. I don't have one. Make up your own. Make up your own obscure holiday. Why not? I think there is actually an obscure holiday called Make Up Your Own Obscure Holiday. There just wasn't one that I wanted to do. Sorry, it's Monday. I'll do better tomorrow. Let's do Today in History. June 25th, 1788. Happy birthday, Virginia. 230 years ago today, Virginia became the 10th state to ratify the Constitution, and they joined the Union. Of course, Virginia is a commonwealth, officially a commonwealth, not a state. Alongside Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Massachusetts, they refer to themselves as commonwealths. Of course, Virginia's nickname, Old Dominion. They have 3 state songs. The traditional Virginia state song is Our Great Virginia. The popular song is Sweet Virginia Breeze, and the state song Emeritus, which basically means they don't do it anymore, is Carry Me Back to Old Virginia. Fun facts about Virginia. Virginia is the only state in the Union that prohibits governors from serving consecutive terms. They can serve more than one term, they just can't do it in a row. And it's happened many times. Governors were elected, they served 4 years, they were very popular, but then they couldn't run for re-election, so somebody else ran and won, and then 4 years later the governor would run again and win again. Why they do that, I don't know. It's probably a good idea, come to think of it. Virginia is known as the Silicon Valley of the East because well over half, this is a true fact, well over half of the world's internet traffic goes through massive data centers located in Northern Virginia. Bet you didn't know that. 8 U.S. presidents were from Virginia, more than any other state, but there haven't been any since Woodrow Wilson, and that was 100 years ago. About 1/4 of Virginia's workforce is employed by the federal government. Not surprised there. And perhaps the most interesting fact about Virginia that I found, over half the battles fought in the Civil War were fought in Virginia. There were about 4,000 battles, and about 2,200 of them were fought in Virginia. Happy 230th birthday, Virginia. And speaking of wars, I just mentioned the Civil War. How about the Korean War? It started on this date 68 years ago today. Yep, June 25th, 1950. North Korea thought, you know what, I don't think that if we just invade South Korea, nobody's going to do anything about it. Nobody wants a third world war. So, you know, they got a hold of the Chinese, told them what they were going to do. North Korea did, got a hold of the Soviets, said, you know, we're going to go ahead and see if we can just take the whole peninsula. And they said, go for it. Just be careful. So they did. North Korea invaded South Korea on this date 68 years ago. And of course, the United Nations said, nope, no, you don't. War lasted 3 years. Both countries are still technically at war. They didn't they didn't sign a peace treaty. They signed a ceasefire agreement. So technically, North and South Korea are still at war. A war that began on this date 68 years ago today. Birthdays. At 24 minutes after the hour, 2 national celebrities and 1 local celebrity. There's Carly Simon. That's the way I always heard it should be. You're so vain, anticipation, loving you's the right thing to do. The great Carly Simon, of course, married to James Taylor for quite some time in the 1970s. Wrote almost all of her own material. Very underrated, as some people think Carly Simon, okay, she plays piano and sings, but she writes her own stuff too. And she's 73 years old today. Happy birthday to Carly Simon. The 99th Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, Sonia Sotomayor, is 64 years old today. I had no idea who she was until she landed on my radar back in 1995 in the case Silverman versus Major League Baseball Player Relations Committee Incorporated. At the time, Judge Sonia Sotomayor issued a preliminary injunction against Major League Baseball, prevented Major League Baseball from fielding replacement teams and unilaterally just imposing a new collective bargaining agreement, and that ended the strike. The 1994 baseball strike ended after 232 days because of Sonia Sotomayor. Thank you very much, Justice Sotomayor, for that. She's 64 years old today. And our very own Grant Olson is, I know how old Grant is. There's Grant with a baseball and his Dodger hat. Grant Olson, our beloved news anchor, is in his 50s. He's halfway between 50 and 60. He's the old speed limit. That's how old Grant is. Happy double nickel to Grant Olson. Of course, we'll be celebrating by watching Grant do the news at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. There's my good buddy Grant. Happy birthday, Grant. 26 minutes after the hour. When we come back, everybody is entitled to Mike Minardi's opinion. Then a fascinating conversation, especially for you folks who live in the upper part of the valley, in the Lake Wenatchee Plain area. Very, very important conversation on something very, very important that's going to happen tonight. Steve's guest is Mick Lamar. He is the chief of Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue, and you do not want to miss that conversation. That and a whole bunch more. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
The Arbiter of Stoke is a series that highlights a variety of outdoor adventure sports that are available in the Pacific Northwest. I dedicate my time to enjoying this natural playground. The decision is yours. How will you keep your stoke?
I have a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
It's just so much more hands-on and friendly than anywhere else I've ever been.
It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted.
We've just been grateful for the care and respect that we've been given there.
And here when I come to visit my doctor, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
It's not just about getting you in and out.
I love my care at CVCH. It's awesome. Give it a try.
Walk and Roll Wenatchee's Asian Express is fast, fresh food. Wenatchee Roll's new Poke Hawaiian Fresh Salad Bar is the best. Fresh greens, fresh seafood, and handmade sauces. You know what you want. At Walk and Roll, create your own style meal. Hot off the line chicken, beef, and veggie plates. Lunch or dinner to match your appetite. Fresh sushi, hot entrees, Poke Fresh Salad Bar. It's new. It's Walk and Roll Wenatchee, fast, fresh food your way. Located on 5th and Mission.
Hi everyone, Brent. Hey, don't mind, we're just making a commercial here, Randall. You're okay. Hi everyone, Brent here. You're gonna love this. When you see this, come down and see us behind Nissan. I can do it. I can do it. The all-new 2018 Nissan. That's done, I'm done. We can't do it. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee. Better performance, better.
If you want to work in healthcare, choose the program that teaches the skills employers want. The Charter College Medical Assistant Program combines hands-on learning in the lab with convenient online learning, plus real-life experience with an externship. Classes start every 5 weeks, so you don't have to wait to launch your new career. Enroll with confidence, knowing Charter is institutionally accredited by the Accrediting Bureau of Health Education Schools, and be ready to work in less than a year. Charter College. We work to get you to work.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to come down and check out what we're all about at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Great beer, good food, and an endless source of entertainment for the whole family. Our Honey Blonde beer is flying off the shelves at your local grocery store. But I tell you what, it's even better on tap. And while you're here, try our signature Badger sauce with one of our delicious meals. Whether you're in the mood for a wrap, salad, pizza, or nachos, Badger Mountain Brewing has what you're looking for.
Hey, this is Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, I recently had hip replacement surgery. And about 2.5 years ago, my doctor told me I had arthritis in my hip, and I figured arthritis, that's no big deal. Wrong, wrong. As time went on, the pain got worse until I could barely walk every morning, and I was popping pain pills like jujubes. Now, if I lived 100 years ago, I would have just been a cripple for the rest of my life. Now, after the surgery, I'm pretty much back to normal. Well, physically anyway. That reminds me, we indeed live in an age of miracles. Medical science, entertainment, technology, digital innovations, not to mention computers and even cell phones. We live in a wonderful world that many of us alive couldn't have envisioned 50 years ago. Blows my mind what little of it I have. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Vamanos junk haulers are pleased to announce they've added moving services to their list of ways to make your life easier. Vamanos Moving Service. No move is too big or small. In fact, Vamanos does it all. Vamanos employees are experienced at moving your home, office, business, and storage. They'll carefully load and unload your belongings. And for the do-it-yourselfers, Vamanos also rents trucks and cargo trailers. Call Vamanos junk haulers and moving service today to schedule your free estimate.
Boating is a great way to bring family and friends together. At Bob File Boats and Motors, they have the boats for any lifestyle: fishing, wakeboarding, or just relaxing on the water. Buying a new boat is more affordable than you might think at Bob File Boats and Motors. Online at bobfile.com or on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee.
Bob File Boats and Motors, we're dealing. Bob File's gonna make you smile.
We're here to celebrate every season with award-winning dining, full-service spa, and 170 waterfront guest rooms. Come experience our tradition of hospitality at Campbell's Resort on Lake Chelan.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
Joining us now on NCW Live Channel is Mick Lamar. He's the chief of Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue. He's here to talk about an ongoing issue with space needs, the growth of the Upper Wenatchee Valley, and things that the fire district is looking to in the future to maybe meet some of these space needs and expansion needs. So, Chief, thanks for taking some time out to come on down and talk to us here.
Thanks for having me this morning, Steve.
I'm sure we're going to need a lot of backstory on this, so maybe you can give us some background on what is occurring up in the Plain area.
Well, what we found is that 2 or 3 years ago, we hired an outside consultant called ESCI, Emergency Services Consulting. They're a third party out of Oregon that comes in and evaluates service delivery for emergency services organizations to see where we're at currently, where we need to be in the future, how we can be prepared, and how we can get ourselves better aligned to meet the needs of the community. Out of that study, our community let us know that there's 3 to 4 areas they wanted us to focus on. The obvious is fire responses. The second is emergency medical responses. The third was disaster preparedness, which kind of popped up high on our list that we weren't expecting. And the fourth was fire prevention. Out of that, we began to do an internal look with our own internal customers, our firefighters, our Board of Commissioners, and external members of the community to say, okay, what are we going to need in the next few years? So it was certainly identified that space was going to be needed. We've seen an increase. In 1995, as an example, we had 65 fire calls in the area. In 2016, excuse me, we were up to 280. So you can see there's a progression here that goes. During the recession in 2008, real estate moved fairly slow through our area, as it did in most communities. And now we've seen an uptick in building and construction, just like you have down here in the lower part of the valley. So we started looking at space needs. And what we found out was that our current buildings were built back in the 1990s, and they don't fit modern fire trucks. We have expanding training needs. The public comes to the fire station for more things. And so we took a look at the 4 facilities that we had in Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue. I don't know if you remember this or not, but a couple years ago we took District 4, which was the Ponderosa, District 9, which was up in the Lake Wenatchee area, and merged those 2 districts into one. So we now had 4 stations. 2 of those stations are on what we call leased property. One is with the Park Service, and we just extended our lease to 40 more years, so we're able to stay on that footprint up on the Lake Wenatchee Highway. One is a piece of property in the Ponderosa community. It's a small lot that we have a station, and we just extended our 25-year lease on that piece of property. Our 3rd station sits out at Chihuahua Pines and is kind of encumbered on one side by the highway, one side by the river, and one side by a private property owner, so that building cannot expand. So we took a look at our station in Plain, which is next to Cascades Beaver Valley Elementary School, and that's a site that looks central to our area. If you drew a 10-mile radius around that station, a propensity of our homeowners live within 10 miles of that station, central to the community. And the school district next door had 10 acres. They bought back in the late 1990s, early 2000 period, built Beaver Valley Elementary School. So we had reached out to them and said, at any point in time, if you don't use your excess land, if you're interested in getting rid of it, we would be interested in acquiring it so we could increase our footprint for development in the future.
Now, when was that?
That was about 2 years ago we contacted them. However, last fall, they reached out to us and said, we are interested in letting go of that property. Originally about 6 acres, now it's down to about 5, and it co-joins the property we have there currently.
So has the school district been voted to surplus that property then?
No, they don't. Like any government entity, they have a series of steps they have to go through. First was letting us know that they were interested in potentially letting go of it. Then they needed to do some internal reviews to make sure that the school wasn't going to have a need for it. And then they have to go through a series of steps that the RCW spells out about surplusing government property.
Right.
And they're just going to take that into consideration on the 25th of this month to decide if the property meets their needs or if they can access it. After they access it, there's a series of steps that they need to go through, public meetings, time constraints before they'd be able to release the property.
Now, I know that this has become something of a community issue, certainly, land being at a premium as it is. A lot of different, maybe competing uses for that property, but how does the community feel about it?
Well, I won't say there's a 50-50 split. There is a small group, very vocal, who are what I call the most impacted people, people who would live on the street where we might expand to. And they came to us with what I thought were some reasonable issues of concern, noise, light, traffic, those kind of things that you would expect. Those are mitigatable things. We can fix those things if we develop that property and when we develop that property. Right now, we don't know that we're going to get the property, but if we were, and we made some assurances in a public meeting that we would allow them to sit in on the development team to be able to design the station. One of the cool things about fire stations, we built that station that's there now in 1995. We were the only building in the area in 1995. Pole buildings were the thing. They were just what happens in the country. Now fire stations are built by architects who go into a community, look at the setting, look at the environment, and try and build a building that fits into the community. So we assured them we would allow them to participate in that. Subsequent to that, however, they've come up with some different problems that they think they see going on there, and we've had to rebut them. And
so how much of this would be, let's say, NIMBY?
Well, that's a term that's been used. I was not familiar with that term till it was used in a public meeting.
Not in my backyard, is the acronym. Yeah.
And it is not in my backyard. And when we first started this discussion, unfortunately, that's the direction it kind of took. We support the fire department as a term the opposition uses a lot. They're very pleased with the level of service and our professionalism, but they did not want a fire station in their backyard. And so they began to say, well, move it here, move it there, take it here, do this, do that. And those locations were not as appropriate for what we need operationally. And then unfortunately they fell into what I call What you see anytime a big box store comes into a neighborhood, a fast food restaurant comes in, an interstate exchange.
has the same issue with substations.
There you go. Everybody deals with it with public works projects. And since we use taxpayer dollars, one of their comments was that we reached out for low-hanging fruit, property that was right next to us, that another public entity, that you could get it at a cheaper rate. And I thought yes to all of those. That all makes pretty good sense because I'm not spending Mick Lamar's dollar, I'm spending the taxpayer dollars. And I think we need to get the most bang for the buck.
So what are we looking at in terms of growth needs for the district going forward?
Well, the first thing we need is space. As I mentioned before, fire trucks. Fire trucks are much larger nowadays than they were. I started in this business 40 years ago, so fire trucks were old and small, and now they hold up to 6 people. They hold a lot of hose, they hold a lot of tools and equipment, so just space inside of buildings. We actually have 4 or 5 trucks that we farm out during poor weather, especially in the winter. We put them in storage units in people's garages, so we need the extra space for vehicles. Training, we have about 30 firefighters. Back in the day, we were around 12, 15 to 20 firefighters, so the added training space. And then as you well know, you've been up in our area when we've had some of these complex fires that have come through the area. Teams come into town, and these teams primarily stay at the fish hatchery, but they send branches out into our area to be able to protect our local community. We'd like to have an area where they could come in and operate and directly tie into the community. And so it seems like an important gig for us.
Well, a lot of things had to happen. First of all, the school district has to act, and certainly the community then has to come together also on a plan moving forward. But I'm sure that that you feel comfortable that you have a plan that would fit in nicely with your community.
I think so. The fire service is one of those jobs that comes with instant credibility. Steve, if I took this uniform on and you put it on and walked outside, the sheer appearance of the uniform, people trust you. And that's a good thing and can be a bad thing because it comes graciously, automatically, but could be lost in seconds, as you well know. And so we don't want to do anything to impact our community negatively. This has been troublesome. It's caused some sleepless nights. We're a pretty unique community up there in the Upper Valley in that we're pretty resilient and independent, but we find ourselves with a lot more of our neighbors and friends coming from the west side as a vacation spot to buy secondary homes. It's changed the demographics of our community.
Well, this is the time of the year, too, that search and rescue also pretty busy up in that area.
It is. I call it a system. You have to have a system to be able to provide public service, especially in public safety. It involves the sheriff's office. It involves both the dispatch center right across the street here at Rivercom, the fire department, ambulance services, volunteers who come up. If I could just take a second and tell you about volunteers, because I'm pretty passionate about this. Everybody knows across America that volunteerism is shrinking. It doesn't matter whether it's your church or your Little League or the Rotarians or the Lions, Kiwanis. Volunteer fire service is not any different. A lot of that's driven by just the way the world moves today. A lot of it's driven by the regulations that are placed upon the fire service. I laughed that when I joined the fire service almost 40 years ago, our fire department had a keginator and a pool table. and an activity focused around the keg and the pool table. The fire service isn't like that anymore. That's a good thing for the public. But because it's not such a social thing, it's turned into real work. It's a pretty difficult atmosphere. And let me explain briefly. We ask our volunteers to settle complex problems in complicated situations under heavy duress that involves lives. And that's volunteering. You're not getting a paycheck for that. You're going to come out. You're going to walk away from dinners and birthday parties, anniversaries, Christmas. You're going to spend some time seeing some things that are unpleasant to see, but the rewards are immense. And so my job as a fire chief, our elected officials on the Board of Commissioners, their job is to make sure those firefighters have everything they need to be able to continue to support the volunteer fire service as long as they can.
Again, we're talking with Mick Lamar, Chief of Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue, and while I've got you here, Chief, we're into another fire season. How's it looking so far?
Well, as you well know, Steve, fire moves uphill, literally. So the basin starts to see the fires first. We see them out in Grant County. We saw them over in Soap Lake last week. We had a lightning storm move through here the other night. It takes 3 or 4 days for those fires to pop up. But fire season's upon us. And in our particular neck of the woods, one of the things that we're seeing now is outside agencies like the University of Washington, Portland State University, Washington State, even the DOD, FDA, the Forest Service, all changing their opinion on how we look at treating the forest. Our forests are unhealthy. They're dangerous. And up in Plain, we live in the middle of that danger. We have to be prepared and have great partnerships to respond to our folks.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Stay safe out there, first of all, to you and your crews. But again, thanks for joining us, making hopefully this whole land issue will be resolved to everybody's benefit.
Well, I hope so. Can I share a quick personal story with you?
You betcha.
So I couldn't make an interview with you last week because I was overseeing my daughter after a medical emergency. The irony here is not lost on my family. 40 years ago, I started the volunteer fire service on Whidbey Island in a small rural department we just talked about. We didn't have many trucks. We only had a few buildings. We weren't trained to do extrication or EMS. We began partnering with our local hospital district, putting ambulances, training our firefighters to be EMTs. My daughter suffered a heart attack here 3 weeks ago.
Oh, goodness.
And that system saved her life. Now, I don't live there anymore. I'm not part of that system anymore, but there are volunteers and people who stepped up. The young man who drove the ambulance that my daughter was in was a young man who was a toddler, came to our picnic breakfasts, our picnics, our Christmas parties, grew up to be a cadet firefighter, became an EMT, and responded and helped save my daughter's life.
What a story. How is she?
She's doing great. She's up and at 'em. She was only 44 years old, and the doctor said if it had been 64, you'd probably have some other issues, but you're 44, life's looking good. We're very excited and ecstatic. We're very grateful to the firefighters and paramedics that studied hard and learned skills that saved my daughter's life. And that's really, I know in Plain, there's some people that say we're protecting a way of life. What we want to do is protect lives. That's our job. So.
Well, good luck to you, and I'm so happy for your family.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that.
I bet you are.
I am, Steve. Thank you for your time this morning.
Not at all,
We
Chief.
appreciate
Nick
it.
Lamar, Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue, joining us today on NCW Live Channel.
And thanks for the good chief for taking some time off out of his busy schedule and coming down and visiting us here in downtown Wenatchee. 46 minutes after the hour, I am Dan Kuntz. Steve Hare, our news director, taking the day off. He'll be back tomorrow. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, if you missed the news at the beginning of the show, we'll give it to you again, plus that all-important weather forecast. Still to come between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 3 and downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
Yamaha ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are proven off-road. Designed, engineered, and tested in the real world, they provide the best balance of off-road capability, comfort, and confidence, delivering performance that is truly proven off-road.
I definitely recommend them for new floors.
They made it so easy.
It looks like a whole new house.
Great service, great prices.
Want a recommendation before you buy new carpets or floors? Don't take our word for it, just listen to our customers.
And they guarantee their work for life.
Flooring America, where friends send friends. Select pet-friendly, kid-friendly, oops-friendly carpet and floors are on sale now.
Papa Murphy's presents a fresh take on fresh. Here's the deal. If it comes from a freezer, not fresh. Box, not fresh. Bag, not fresh. Fresh means just chopped vegetables. Cheese grated by us daily. Fresh means we don't even have ovens, because you have an oven. So you can feel good about feeding it to your... Home bake a large Gourmet Delight Greek pepperoni pizza, topped with pepperoni, spinach, black olives, and feta cheese. Just $9. Papa Murphy's. Love at 425 degrees.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We have about 11 minutes left on this Monday edition of this program. A preview of tomorrow's show. My guests will be Shiloh Shower and Kelly Kennedy. For the Wenatchee Valley Let's Have a Blast 4th of July committee, it's coming up, and they need your help. We'll have that conversation on this program tomorrow. In the meantime, let's get you caught up with what made news over the weekend. It's been 3 years since that devastating Sleepy Hollow fire ravaged the northwest Wenatchee neighborhood, destroying 30 homes and a few warehouses. But the man who stands accused of setting that fire is still awaiting trial. 39-year-old Jeremy J. Kendall, scheduled to be arraigned in Chelan County Superior Court today after Judge Robert McSeveny ruled that the defendant is mentally competent to stand trial. Kendall has been undergoing treatment at Eastern State Hospital over the last couple of years after he confessed to Chelan County Sheriff's deputies that he started the fire. At that time, he said the Department of Health was transmitting voices into his head and controlling his body. He is currently being held in custody at the Chelan County Regional Justice Jail. Well, a high-speed pursuit ended with an arrest on Thursday night in the Rock Island area. Douglas County Sheriff Harvey Jesdahl reports a deputy was on routine patrol when he spotted an approaching vehicle on Highway 28 that failed to dim his headlights. The deputy turned around to stop the vehicle, but another westbound vehicle got between the deputy and the suspect vehicle. At this point, the deputy had activated his lights and siren, but rather than pull over, the second vehicle took off. The deputy decided to pursue the second vehicle for failing to yield to an emergency vehicle, and the chase was on. The Pathfinder continued to accelerate, running through stop signs and reaching speeds up to 80 miles an hour. The driver finally pulled over on Parkway Drive in Rock Island, shut off the car, placed his hands out the window. He's been identified as 33-year-old Joshua J. Clark of Cashmere. He was found to have a Department of Corrections warrant for escape from community custody and felony warrants out of Chelan County for possessing methamphetamine and heroin with intent to deliver and first-degree escape. He was arrested and booked at the Chelan County Jail without further incident. He was also booked for the additional Douglas County charges of felony eluding and driving with a suspended license. Well, traffic came to a halt on US 2 on Friday afternoon just outside of Monitor following a two-vehicle crash that resulted in injuries to both drivers. It happened in the 2 o'clock hour when a motorcycle driven by 63-year-old Richard Goodfellow of Manson rear-ended a pickup truck as the two vehicles were yielding the right-of-way to an emergency vehicle that was approaching from behind. Both Goodfellow and the driver of the pickup, identified as 66-year-old Karen Jackson of Yakima, transferred to Confluence Health for treatment. The roadway was closed for about an hour. Well, Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett reports that a climber fell several hundred feet while descending Mount Stewart just before noon on Sunday. The 32-year-old male Seattle resident was eventually pronounced dead at the scene. A 911 cellular call to KitCom dispatch was received from the subject's climbing partner at 11:47 a.m. reporting the fall. That call was relayed to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office. The incident location determined to be just on the southeast aspect of Mount Stewart at below the false summit, which is east of the true summit. Due to the high elevation, 8,900 feet, search and rescue coordinators requested a hoist-capable helicopter via State Emergency Management. Naval Air Base Whidbey Island accepted the mission, and a Navy Black Hawk helicopter crew responded. The aircraft was over the scene by 2:40 in the afternoon, and it was confirmed that the climber was deceased. The body was hoisted from the scene and transported to SAR staging, that's at the fish hatchery in Leavenworth. The Navy crew then returned to the mountain to hoist out the climbing partner of the victim, who stated he was not comfortable descending the mountain after witnessing the accident. The climbing partner informed SAR coordinators that his friend had successfully summited Mount Stewart earlier in the morning and descended to the false summit just before noon. Just as they began to descend, the victim lost his footing and slid several hundred feet down a steep slopes, landing in rocks. Other climbers in the area eventually scrambled down to the area to the fallen hiker and advised that he was unresponsive. It is 53 minutes after the hour. The big news story we're going to keep an eye on today is the weather. We have a red flag warning. Red flag warning issued by the National Weather Service earlier today. It begins at 12 noon and will go until 8 o'clock this evening. There's three things that have to trigger a red flag warning: strong winds, warm temperatures, and low relative humidity. Well, it's not going to be particularly warm today, as you can see, high of 79, but it's going to be quite windy at times today. The wind will be northwest, 16 to 23 miles an hour, gusts as high as 38 miles an hour. Relative humidity probably won't get above 20 to 25%. So Remember, I don't know if you know this or not, but between 2 and 3 o'clock here in the Wenatchee Valley in the overnight hours, we had a very strong thunder cell come through. It was not in the forecast. It gave us significant lightning, heavy rain, and strong winds. So we could have some sleepers out there. We could have some small smoldering fires that may have begun with some lightning strikes that are just laying there waiting to pick up in intensity, and with a red flag warning with the strong winds, that could very well be the case. So we're keeping a very close eye on that. Sunshine today, a high of 79, which is about normal for this time of year. Again, northwest winds 16 to 23 miles an hour, and gusts as high as 38 miles an hour. The red flag warning is due to expire at 8 o'clock tonight, but they could have it begin earlier than noon, and they could extend it past 8 o'clock. We'll know more as the day progresses. For tonight, mostly clear, 53 for the overnight low. Going to be breezy tonight. A northwest wind 17 to 22 miles an hour, eventually decreasing to 10 to 15 miles an hour overnight tonight. And then we calm down for the most part. Tuesday, sunshine and a high near 77 degrees, very little wind to speak of tomorrow. On Tuesday night, mostly clear, 54 for the overnight low. Lots of sunshine Wednesday and a high near 80. Wednesday night, partly cloudy and a low around 58. For Thursday, mostly sunny and a high of 78. Partly cloudy skies Thursday night, breezy but not real windy, 57 for the overnight low. The weekend, Friday mostly sunny and a high of 80. Saturday mostly sunny and a high near 80. Sunday, sunshine and a high of about 82 degrees. Once again, a red flag warning has been issued by the National Weather Service. It begins at 12 noon today and lasts until 8 o'clock tonight. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take one more quick little break and come back and wrap this baby up. All right, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We are live this morning from Studio 9 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is WUWV-TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
Yamaha ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are proven off-road. Designed, engineered, and tested in the real world, they provide the best balance of off-road capability, comfort, and confidence, delivering performance that is truly proven off-road.
I definitely recommend them for new floors.
They made it so easy.
It looks like a whole new house.
Great service, great prices.
Want a recommendation before you buy new carpets or floors? Don't take our word for it, just listen to our customers.
And they guarantee their work for life.
Flooring America, where friends send friends. Select pet-friendly, kid-friendly, oops-friendly carpet and floors are on sale now.
Papa Murphy's presents a fresh take on fresh. Here's the deal. If it comes from a freezer, not fresh. Box, not fresh. Bag, not fresh. Fresh means just chopped vegetables. Cheese grated by us daily. Fresh means we don't even have ovens, because you have an oven. So you can feel good about feeding it to your... Home bake a large Gourmet Delight Greek pepperoni pizza, topped with pepperoni, spinach, black olives, and feta cheese. Just $9. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
And welcome back to this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Once again, a reminder of my guests tomorrow. A couple of folks involved with the Let's Have a Blast Wenatchee Valley 4th of July Celebration Committee, Kelly Kennedy and Shiloh Shower, will be dropping by as we look forward to Wednesday, July 4th. And we'll be broadcasting live from the roof of the Town Toyota Center right here on the NCW Live channel, just like we did last year. So for whatever reason you can't see the fireworks, you can't make it down to the park, or you don't have a view of it from the Wenatchee Valley, we'll be broadcasting the fireworks display with live music provided by the Wenatchee Valley Symphony Orchestra, and we'll take to the air at about 9 o'clock on Wednesday, July 4th, and we'll stay on the air until the conclusion of the fireworks show. A little programming reminder there. So they'll be on tomorrow's show. Looking forward to that. Once again, a red flag warning starts at 12 noon today, goes until 8 o'clock tonight. Strong winds, fairly warm temperatures, although not hot, and very low relative humidity. We'll keep a close eye on that. Don't forget about the news with the birthday boy, Grant Olson. The news will come your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. That's your 3 chances to watch it right here on this very television station, or you can watch it on demand. We'll get the news up and running on our website at ncwlife.com and on our Facebook page late in the afternoon, early in the evening. It takes a little while for these things to get going. All right, everybody, have yourself a great Monday. Have yourself a great week, and we will see you tomorrow. Until then, take care and bye-bye.